Herodotus, the Greek historian, reported that ancient Persians tended to deliberate on important matters when they were drunk. Then they would reconsider the decisions the following day when they were sober. If it so happened that their first deliberation took place when they were sober, they would always reconsider the matter under influence of wine. If the decision was made approved both drunk and sober, the decision held. If not, the Persians set it aside. My name is Willows.
And my name is Tyler.
And we're both young business guys who still adhere to these ancient traditions. Join us as we debate and discuss business topics, moves we're making, politics, traveling, and more, both sober and then drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusions. This is Alcohol Beyond This Point. Hola.
Hola.
¿Cómo está?
Yeah. That's all the Spanish we've got.
If you're, I know, dos cerveza, por favor. Margarita. Gracias.
De nada.
My cousin was telling me how to call women beautiful and stuff, so that's good.
You forgot it.
I have it screenshotted. Anyway, if you're watching the video, or if you're listening to the windy audio, you might notice that this is not our usual couple locations. We are coming to you from a balcony in at a resort outside of Playa del Carmen, Quantiga Roo, Mexico.
Yep.
Why are we here, Tyler?
2-week vacation. Get away from Belt.
Except we've been working the entire time.
Yeah, I have.
Hey, I did some emails.
Yeah.
Anyway, so drinking today, we are allowed to drink for free anything we want on the resort. You just walk up to a bar, and I even have this travel mug. If you're not watching the video, it has a llama with a glasses and a Santa hat on it. So that is currently filled with pina colada. And then we have 2 cans of Corona here from the bar fridge. We got 2 cups of Modelo, I think, is the cerveza on the beach. Yep. We have a Bellini, and then we have 2 mojitos as well. So good variation of some warm snacks.
We'll see if I'm gonna burn and make it through this.
We will see. It's quite sunny out here, but
UV.
It was legitimately a 60 degrees Celsius difference between when we got on the plane and when we got off the plane.
Yeah.
It was like minus 35 to plus 35 pretty much. So it was a
awesome.
Yeah, it was a difference. Yeah, how you been so far? This is what, day 5 we've been here?
Day 5. Been lots of sleeping. A lot less action than we thought.
Which is fine, honestly.
Awesome. But we're here for 14 days, so you sleep for the first 4 or 5, and then I don't know what else happens next. But we're getting into town today.
Yep,
to see our buddy Troy swinging.
Shout out Troy.
And Alicia.
Cheers. They just coincidentally we have friends from like back home.
Is this mine or yours?
I don't know.
It's not mine. Okay, it's too
low. Just coincidentally, we have friends from back home that live like 20 kilometers from here. So we're going into town tonight. We're probably gonna sleep there tonight, and hopefully, I was looking it up. We have the highest murder rate per capita in Winnipeg, out of all of Canada. This city in Mexico is 105 times that of Winnipeg's. It's the equivalent of if Winnipeg had 2,400 homicides in a year.
Yeah, which, I mean, if you do the math, that's numerous every day.
Yes.
I didn't do the math. You can do the math. Yeah, it's a lot because we have, 35, 40 murders a year compared to, and it's considered a sketchy city at times, but this place is 2,400.
The equivalent if we had the same population.
But the difference being the vast majority of those being targeted gang killings. They're not killing tourists and random people. There's occasionally crossfire, but the vast majority you'll see a dozen gang members found dead in a bar, and it's what they're doing is they're pressing into these cities a little bit more that used to be considered untouchable. And yeah, now the murder rate's skyrocketing. So
we were also told though that to not if we're blackout drunk and we're tourists in the city, we might get shaken down by police officers that are basically pay us $100 USD or we're fucking throwing you in a drunk tank.
Or worse.
Or worse. So
actual jail.
yeah, they said you're going to get shaken down by cops. You're going to get shaken down by anyone. So we're going to go pretty light on the drinking today.
Stay very close to our friends.
Stay close to our friends who know the area. And if this isn't uploaded ever, then you know that I died. Wait.
Postmortem release.
Someone needs to be.
Call your mother.
Yes, this will be on my will to edit and release the podcast after we die.
I write that. Write it in blood on the sidewalk. Release the podcast episode 8.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that because we were talking about wills and last will and testament and everything. And there was this guy in Saskatchewan, I believe. This farmer that was working on a truck, and the truck fell and crushed him, and he was bleeding out and dying. And in his blood, he wrote his last will on the side of the truck. He wrote my wife gets everything or whatever. And his family was trying to get all this money, and they're like, oh well, that doesn't fucking count. And it all went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they ruled that it does in fact that did count.
Yeah.
As a binding document. So as long as your will is written in your own writing, I guess
ideally in your own blood.
Ideally in ink, but whatever, and signed by yourself, then it is legally binding. So you don't need to get it go through a lawyer or anything. So maybe do that. Maybe do that, guys.
Yeah.
I wrote one and then put it in my safe and then told people where it is. And then yeah. So thank God we got a cloud here.
So if you die, I get everything you own. But if we both die,
does
my family get if I die second?
If you can prove that, because I think at this point likely we're gonna die at the same time.
In my blood, he died first.
He died first.
We're both on our way out, and I'm choking you out.
Because I almost think realistically, we'd probably die in the same accident, some car accident or something. Yeah, hopefully not. Anyway, so okay, we have a couple topics we want to talk about today. I think what I wanted to start with was apropos to what we were doing right now. I think I want to talk about. I want to pose a question to you because I think we kind of agree, but I think there's some debate here. Is let's say billionaire, because you can 2020 you can become a millionaire pretty easily.
Be a dental hygienist that budgets well and become a millionaire.
Yeah, I think anyone at this point can pretty much become a millionaire. Let's say billionaire. Do you think you can become a billionaire if you take vacations like this often or semi-often or at all?
Okay, precursor. At what point in your life? Do you mean at all?
Well, let's say both. Let's talk both. Let's say you take a trip, you're in business, you're like us, and you take a trip every time you can afford it, once every couple of years.
Yeah.
And whether you go whether it's Mexico or whether it's Florida or whether it's to France or whatever, whatever it is.
Okay, and what's your stance?
I think if you had asked somebody that question, okay, well, I think that people have different styles of business, and what works for some people doesn't work for the other. So Gary Vaynerchuk, for instance, said he didn't take a day off until he was 30.
But that's pure choice.
Yeah, no, that's upset. But
if you took 2 weeks off, would it have changed much? Is the question.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's more of a mindset kind of thing, which I think as I'm trying to kind of deal with my mental health recently and trying to kind of grow, I've been kind of thinking that that stuff like this is beneficial. I'm going to work harder if I take breaks.
Okay. The carrot versus the stick.
Yeah. But I guess it's it doesn't, because I think a lot of people that we know would probably take trips to escape their shitty reality. Same reason people do cocaine on the weekends, right? It's to forget about their shitty job.
Yes, but people also do cocaine on the weekends for peak enjoyment and not to escape. But it's they had fun all week and now they also have fun on the weekend. I don't think those have to be mutually exclusive, which maybe simplifies this argument of is going on vacation. See, that my stance is I believe the way that you enjoy life, the way that you party, the way that you vacation, the way that you enjoy the pleasurable things in life. It can be from athletics to you could be competing in cyclocross aggressively and you travel for that. I think successful people typically jump into that stuff almost more enthusiastically than the average because they just do. It's like that type A.
We do everything at 10.
Yeah, like those type A memes. Like this guy's like, why don't you just stop and smell the flowers once? And then the type A guys, he like smelling flowers so hard it's like sucking pollen into his nose, and he's like at a flower smelling class, and then he's at a flower smelling contest, and then he's like best flower smeller in the world. He's like, I smelled the flowers. Like that's absolutely a thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I think it's tied together. And what I've learned this year is that I guess last year, this year just started, is business and enjoyment seem to go hand in hand. With the way people do one thing is how they do the other. So
you like, and we're both lucky, or maybe not lucky, but we're both in a position where I can leave for 2 weeks because I can have my employees and my partner cover my job.
Yeah.
Right. My partner's. I'm grateful for him to picking up all the bartending shifts and everything while I'm gone, and then all the events and everything is being covered by one of my 2 employees because that's their fucking job, right? Like.
Yeah.
So, I'm.
And I can just work remotely for what I do.
Yeah, and
I can maintain remotely, not as productive as I usually am, but
yeah. Well, we've
50%.
We've been doing like you've been waking up and going to the gym and leaving me sleeping.
Yeah.
And then when you get back, we usually do breakfast together, and then we've been going to like sit at the sports bar or whatever and do like 2-3 hours of work.
Yeah, I mean the longest day so far has probably been like 6 hours behind the computer.
Yeah, that was on the beach.
Yeah, but I was on the beach, right?
Yeah, well, we were literally we took a couple good pictures of you.
You got a sunburn, I got some work done.
Yeah, because I was in the water like the entire time he was on the computer, and I burnt myself.
Just chasing fish.
Yeah, you can get. We have. I think we're gonna edit together some stuff and upload it to the Instagram.
We might add some B-roll at the end of this video.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, I know our main audience is on Spotify, but if you go to our Instagram, Alcohol Beyond This Point, all one word. Obviously, it's Instagram, or our YouTube. I think it's on my YouTube. Vote Willows Media. I think we're gonna put some videos together. But yeah, we've had the GoPro and we were literally swimming, and you were like touching fish with your hands, like they were so cool.
And like we don't pretend that we're like super good at these vacation videos. We're just this is the first time I've used a GoPro, and this is the first time we've gone on vacation. Like for real, this is my first all-inclusive, first tropical vacation, first time out of like Canada, America.
Yeah, this
a lot of firsts.
Yeah, this is my first trip. Number one, as an adult.
Yeah.
Number two, with like my friends, and not just exclusively with my family. Because last trip I think was like. Last big trip was when I was 16, 15. Went to the Dominican Republic. That was like with my little brother, and when he was like 12.
Yeah.
So he was like not, couldn't talk to him yet.
Oh, yeah, you weren't going to the bars, you weren't socializing.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even allowed to go to the bar because my parents are kind of strict with that whole underage drinking thing, so they weren't even letting me like sneak stuff. So
meanwhile, Willows when he's home. I'm kidding. We never did anything.
No comment.
Ever.
But yeah, so it's a lot of new experiences for me as well. Inclusive's nice. I know that you're kind of on a different wavelength of you'd rather do a trip, or maybe not rather, but you'd also want to do a trip where you just kind of have an Airbnb in a town and fucking walk around and do things.
Yeah, absolutely. They're off the beaten path.
I kind of like this whole. I'm a lazy motherfucker though. Like, people like to go camping. I like to go to a cabin with Wi-Fi and indoor plumbing. You know what I mean? Like,
glamping.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like to do the same shit here. Like, I like the all inclusive. I like food whenever I want it and drinks whenever I want it, and air conditioned room. And
so, do you think your year is going to be worse off for this trip or better?
I'm gonna say better. I'm gonna say, well, you fucking pissed me off. Because every time he says something true, it pisses me off. Literally, like was that the first night or the first day? I think it's first full day.
Mm-hmm.
You're like you literally looked at me. You're like, Willows, you're smiling.
No, you said. I said you look different.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? And I'm like, I think I first noticed. I'm like, you look really different, like on video and everything. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, you're smiling a lot, and he's like, fuck you.
But yeah.
But yeah, it's totally right.
It's been a rough little bit. So this has been like, I don't know. I was just like smiling. I don't even know what I was smiling at either. It was just kind of like I was just looking at stuff. Like, so I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, like I think that this is kind of, and I wanna do something like this every year. Not 2 weeks in Mexico, obviously, but I think we should go down to like go to Florida or California or something.
Maybe 7 days like this with a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
And just make it a party trip. Like
Yeah.
we're kind of chilling out. We're using this for some R&R.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun to do this again, just as like.
And even when we were talking about like a weekend in Toronto or a weekend in Vancouver or something like that, would be fun, right? Like, because that leads me to another topic is that like, and I know that both of us get a lot of enjoyment out of work and what we do, but it's like, if you're not fucking around and doing stuff like this, what's the point? Like, why am I working so hard?
Agreed.
Right? And because I used to kind of have the mindset when I was like 16, it was like, okay, I'll work for 30 years straight, not take a single day off, and then from 30 on, I'll just be retired.
Yeah, but that's extreme. Like that, there's no moderation in that. And if you ask anybody that's done that, they probably wouldn't say, "Oh, I would do nothing different." They'd probably say, "I'd take more days off." Most people. Like, I don't want to bring like a guy like Gary Vee into the conversation because he's an extremist. I don't think he represents most people.
No, I don't think so
Most
either.
entrepreneurs.
He doesn't try to pretend he is, right? He always tells people do what works for you, right?
Yeah, but on the whole, if you talk to anybody that's like on their deathbed and like, what do you wish you did more looking back? And they're never gonna say, I wish I took less vacations.
Yeah, that's always that's always a common thing, right? They always say that you're never gonna wish you worked more, right? I think I bet there's people that wish they accomplished more.
Yes, absolutely.
But
left a mark.
Yeah, but going to work every day for in the wrong, because there's plenty of people I'm sure that work 65 years without taking a single day off, and then die, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Right. So, I guess I want to.
I feel the same way about vacationing. Let's leave it at that.
What do you mean?
So, work 65 years, then die. Live 65 years, then die. Like, I feel the same way about going out and having experiences. I see it as important as doing all this other stuff. It's just I see it as all one human experience.
Well, because I think I wouldn't get quite as much satisfaction out of my life if I wasn't achieving stuff. Like if I didn't have a business,
no, yeah, but that's like balance, right?
Because if I was a trust fund kid and could just vacation, like some of the girls we've met here that are just like on their 4th vacation of the year and this year, yeah, and they don't appear, they're college kids and they don't appear to be paying for anything. I feel like I would have a different hollow, right? Like a hollow where I'm not accomplishing anything versus a hollow where I'm not having any fun or whatever, right?
Yeah, but again, it comes to balance. Like you'd have to make assumptions about those people, because there's plenty of trust fund kids out there that are fantastically successful and make great impact because they have all the advantages of rich parents. You have the connections, you have the funding, you have the great jump start, and what's going to take us 10 years to build up is where they start.
I wasn't shitting on everyone.
No, I agree, but it's like it comes back to the same question for everyone, whether you do it a little or you do it a lot. If you can do this once every 2 years, or you can do it twice a year, or 5 times a year, whatever state you're at, it's just, I think, balance. And if you work a lot and accomplish a lot and risk a lot, you're going to do this a lot. And vice versa.
That's interesting, actually, because the same way that it was risky for me to start a business and risky for me to risk all my money, it's also risky for me to take 2 weeks off a startup to go fuck around, right?
Yeah, for the sake of personal enjoyment.
Well, I definitely decided to do this. I officially committed to it after my girlfriend left me just 5 or 6 months ago. Was kind of like, okay, I need to get the fuck out of here.
You were going to go with her initially, right?
Yeah, well, the plan kind of was I was saving up money to go somewhere with her.
Yeah.
Do something, whether it was even just go out there, right, to Vancouver or whatever. And so the extra money that I had saved up, I took out in American Ones, and I've been tipping to bartenders and stuff to give myself some endorphin here. But yeah, you probably agree that you think you're going to be more productive when you get back after this.
Yeah, I am the type of person that like when I get bored or I feel stagnant or I feel like things aren't moving, my productivity like
Yeah.
takes a sharp dive. Like I can do more in 30 days as an excited person than I can in like 90 days as someone who's just maintaining.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think that
Like I'm insanely productive when I'm focusing on the right things. And this is like a common theme that I've seen with like high performers and other entrepreneurs that I've worked with.
I've definitely been in the position where I was like my entire 2018 where I felt like I wasn't doing anything. I was just treading water and running the business rather than building the business.
Yeah.
I think I've been better recently, especially with my bar opening and everything. Like I've made a lot of progress.
Yeah, when you feel better, you sell better, you take more risks, you think more clearly.
Yeah.
It's a common theme that I've seen with like really successful people that I've worked with.
Yeah.
That they'll go away, and I think you know who I'm talking about, disappears for 30, 40 days over Christmas time.
Yeah.
Gets like super focused, super isolated, completely self-indulgent time. And then in a 30-day time span is insanely productive, sets the pace for the remainder of the year, creates a bunch of things, does a bunch of things, and just basically comes out of that time like a rocket, and has like 3 to 6 months of insane productivity and accomplishment, and then it begins to taper off for the remainder of the year. So arguably, because everyone has their peaks and valleys of performance every year, right? They say if you're actually pushing yourself, you're probably going to have 3 peaks, 3 valleys every year.
Yeah.
I'm like generalizing, might be 2, might be 4, but I mean, there's a reason they measure years and quarters. Like, things happen.
Yeah.
So you can't be peak all the time. Everybody can agree with that. So the idea is when you're coming down into your valley, instead of staying where you are, disconnect, spend your valley recharging instead of trying to work your way out of it, and you'll come out of it more quickly.
See, because even I've had this said to me, not in a quarterly sense, but in a daily sense, that like if you sleep 8 hours, you're more productive in the 8 hours you're working.
Yes.
Than vice versa.
100%. If I sleep 5, 6, I get less done than if I get less done in a longer day.
Yeah, I get 5, 6 though without trying.
Yeah.
Or 4, 5. Like that's different though. Like we just have different. Like I guess the difference is sleep deprivation and not.
Yes.
Like don't give yourself if you give yourself sleep deprivation to work more, you get less done rather than that, right?
Yes.
But like even I know so I sleep like 4 or 5 hours a night even when I'm trying. Like my body's just like, okay, we're done. But fucking second night here, how long I slept 12 hours.
Yeah, it was 12.
It was fucked, and I straight. Like I wasn't like I was waking up and going back to bed. I fucking opened my eyes, and I'm like, oh, it must be like 8:30. I kind of see sun coming through the blackout shades, and I fucking check my phone. It's like 12:30. Like. Yeah. No,
yeah.
That was.
That's me every weekend.
I don't know if that's my body telling me something.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, and then I felt good. Like my stomach was hurting that day too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just because I wasn't acclimated to the food or whatever, but I feel fucking great now.
Yeah, I have a theory about that. I think it's the ice. Ice is probably tap water.
Huh. He says continuing drinking it, but...
I mean, it's too late now.
That's interesting, actually. I didn't think about that.
Typically, that's where you get the most likely case of salmonella is through ice machines, because they're cleaned least often, less considered for water quality. Who knows?
We've also been taking shots from random guys on the beach that we don't understand their language.
Alcohol is sanitary.
We don't know it was alcohol. Like those red shots we took from the pool.
Yeah, that's true.
Or we walked into a bar here, one of the bars, and the bartender goes, amigos, 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 come over here. We go over there. He pours us these shots. He's like, the best. We're like, hey, what is it? He's like, they're the best. Take them. And we're like, no, like what alcohol is it? What is it? He's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Just they're the best. And we just took them. And he poured us another one. We took those.
It's not legal in.
Oh no, that's like 4 liquor law violations. Like you can't give people liquor they don't know what it is. You can't give people liquor for free. You can't give people liquor that's like you don't know the alcohol percentage. It's unlabeled or whatever. And yeah, that's probably it. And it's a gray area with like how you're promoting it, where you're like, "Hey, come over here, take alcohol." Like that's
We voluntarily walked and took it.
yeah. The solicitation's a gray area though. You're not really supposed to be like that's a social responsibility thing. You're not really supposed to be pressuring people
But that's why we're here.
to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Deodorant.
What's that supposed to mean?
It's fine.
Another thing I noticed about I don't know if this is just us or I feel like we can drink a lot more here, and I haven't been getting drunk.
We're having like 20, 30 drinks a day, and we're like sober when we go to bed.
And I've been seeing like because the first time I'm like, man, do they just cut their drinks really low to like keep tourists not rowdy? But we had a good bartender that was fucking overpouring us.
Yeah, he's pouring heavy, like three shots of drink.
Yeah, and we still had a ton. Like
we got drunk one night, but that was like 35 drinks.
Oh, we got like blackout drunk, and I pissed a bunch of people off because I was just belligerent. But
sorry, fellow Canadians.
Yeah, but we met a cool kid from somewhere in the States, right?
No. He's from Prince Albert.
Who's the guy from Maryland we met?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it was funny because Tyler got blackout at like 10 p.m.
And then sobered up.
And then by the time he sobered up, I had taken 6 more shots. Because we met a couple from like the Czech Republic, and we were drinking with them. We were taking shots, but you were drinking water the entire time.
Yeah. And
then when we met that kid from Prince Albert, then you started drinking again, and I was drinking water.
Yes.
Yeah. So, because every time you went to the bathroom when we were in the pool, there's like a bar in a pool that you can swim right up to. Every time you went to the washroom, you came back with 2 shots of tequila and 2 beers, for like one for each of us, and yeah,
that's where it ended.
That was we have the point of no return on camera where we took those Patron shots and we just
you could see our eyes just like yeah, that's where it happened.
but yeah, like I guess do you think there's people though that can take would the vacations they take would actually knock them out of their zone though?
I think it does when it becomes the goal. Like when the travel becomes more important than every other day of your life. Like I feel like travel is just like another.
So it's an accent.
It's another day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an accent. It's a feature. It's an experience along with everything else I do during the year. But if people view it as like the only thing that they did this year worth doing, and they're like, you know, every day following, you're like throwback to, every day up to, countdown to.
Which we know a lot of people on Instagram.
You're wasting all that fucking time before and after. I think that's so much worse. Like if you're gonna do that, you're wasting so much of your time. You're wasting life. You're wasting energy. You're wasting money. Like
yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah, how many fucking girls do we know on Instagram that post like 97 days until my fucking and they have that countdown app and everything, and then on the other side it's take me back. It's the same picture of their ass on a dock, right?
Like I get the throwbacks, but
yeah,
like get some value in between.
Well, I guess it's the same way like drinking on the weekend, seeing my family is a highlight, but it's not the only good part of my life.
So let me throw it back to our MLM episode that's going to happen eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
So when you first started thinking about making money,
yeah,
doing shit differently, whatever, what have you, like you probably thought about work a lot so I could just be that all the time.
Yes.
Like, how do you see
my
the work a lot part differently now?
I guess
like for the people out there that are just thinking about I'll work my ass off so I can retire at 35. How is that now bullshit? Because neither of us believe in retirement.
No, I don't believe in retirement anymore. I don't think. I think that if you love what you're like, because that's why you look at all the billionaires that they're still working. Warren Buffett's in his 80s. Like like everyone's Bill
and Melinda Gates have the world's largest philanthropy system.
Yeah. So, well, there's an episode of Suits where like Scotty and Harvey are talking about some guy retired, so there's an opening at the law firm. He's like, he retired? He's like, why? He's like, oh, he thought the family wasn't more important than work or something. And they both sit down and they're both like pussy at the same time. But Yeah, I mean, like, it's, I feel like I'll never stop. Like, I'll stop working for money, but I'll never stop working, right? Like, I feel like I get a lot of satisfaction in what I do, and it will only get more as I make bigger deals and,
Yeah.
you know.
And I think that ability to get satisfaction out of work is the same mindset that gets you maximum satisfaction out of vacation.
Okay. Well, because I'm not escaping either at this point.
Right. You're in the moment. You're enjoying it.
When we were in the water tossing the football around, I was talking about my business for like an hour. I was talking about all the products that were coming out and stuff and margins and stuff. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. And I don't want, and my point being, not that I can't get it out of my head when I'm on vacation. My point is, I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's when you get the mental space and the clarity and the relaxation, when you lose the tensions, you drop the emotions around your business and your work, that's when you get the best productivity and the best ideas, because we get paid not on our hours we spend working, but on the value we create.
Yeah, and
the best ideas come from, like, shower thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the John taking a deuce and I had this great idea. Like, that's when the greatest thinking happens. And you can't. It's hot out here.
It is hot out here.
You can't devalue that quiet time. That's what meditation is so important for.
Yeah.
Like, quiet time in general. Like, shut off, enjoy your family. In those periods of time, you'll have the greatest revelations.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I also thought that when I was younger, I also thought that, like, I would get rich all by myself. And now it's like I want and need a team, and I want to need employees, and I want to need, people to help me out.
Because who says, I want to go on all these vacations and I don't want anybody around?
Exactly, right? Like,
nobody says that shit.
Why did I bring you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was, there's a reason why we did this together, right? Because I feel like that's the pipe dream of the, not pipe dream, but that's the maybe reality of a lot of, like, Instagram influencers that travel all the time. I don't know if they have friends with them or anything, you know what I mean? Like, they have, like, a photographer.
Yeah, I mean, are you having fun, or are you just documenting shit that makes you look like you're having fun?
Yeah. Because there's a lot of money in looking like you're having fun on Instagram.
Yes, I see. Like, watching people take those shots on the beach is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because you can see how hard they're trying and how much they're focusing and, like, maybe happy or not happy. And their day might be ruined if their photos aren't good. Like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we just kind of take shitty selfies and, whatever.
We're never going to be influencers.
No. But, like, even, like, I know you've taken stories, but, like, have you posted on anything on Instagram or anything since you've been here?
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. So, I do. I like to, but, we're definitely not those kind of people that, like...
Talk about it,
yeah. Almost like the same way we don't really talk about the moves we're making in business. We don't, until we make them. We don't talk about, like, I didn't even tell anyone where we were going until we landed.
I'm like, I don't feel like it. It's just like, I'm here to enjoy myself, not to make other people see that I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, exactly. Because the same snaps I take when I'm home, I'm taking here. I'm like, oh, that's a cool piece of art, like, or that's a cool looking food, or there's a boy walking around.
Not enough, though.
There's not enough boys here. Anyway, no, we saw a boy that was a raccoon boy, but he was a Mexican one, so he was, like, really small. It was kind of cool. What was it called? Colomel or something?
I don't know. Just not as scary as raccoons.
Yeah, it was a Mexican raccoon, and then we also saw I saw an iguana when you were at the gym. Some sort of lizard. I'll show you the video. And we saw, like, a heron or whatever. That was pretty cool.
Eating fish.
Yeah, not a ton of boys, though. There was more when I was in the Dominican. There's stray cats everywhere.
Also, we're on a resort with a barbed wire fence.
We're also on a resort with a barbed wire fence, but well, maybe we'll see stuff when we go out to town later.
In town, see
a jaguar,
a deer, a jaguar, just riding on the roof of an illicit cab.
Oh, it's a tiger.
So to switch gears,
yeah,
we were talking about this today, and, like, we're debating about it. And I think it'd be interesting to bring up. And, like, I'm a little bit buzzed now, so I feel like I can give unsolicited opinions. So one thing that's I think a really big passion for me, which is like really weird because it's not personally connected to me, but I was listening to a podcast today from The Daily, which is New York Times, and they're talking about the extreme rise of like what they're calling it is child sexual assault imagery. They're not calling it child pornography because pornography insinuates consent and industry. It's not
It's
industry.
assault. Yeah,
it's assault. It's exploitation. Don't call it pornography because I mean everyone knows what that is and everyone's okay with it. It seems.
That's
like nobody's fighting against that part. So don't call it that. Don't associate it with. So what they're trying to do is an expose on how it's getting significantly worse and it's getting harder to detect because of the rise of personal privacy and security.
Yeah, because the internet's only getting bigger, and companies like Facebook are letting you encrypt everything.
Yeah, so here's the stats, hard numbers. Last year, FBI reported about 18 million incidents of reported imagery. So off of those 18 million, 12 million was from Facebook. So then they interviewed the former chief security officer of Facebook. I mean, pretty reliable informant. And they asked him why is this? Why is Facebook so much greater? He's like, oh, because we're the only ones policing it. He's like, we're the only ones that scan every image and identify it against a database of known offenders or offensive images, and then we flag this and report it to the FBI. He said we're the only platform that does this, and it cooperates with the FBI. So therefore, we are 12 million of the 18.
Yeah, because you're saying that there's likely 12 million on every other.
Probably more.
But they're not getting caught.
Like Dropbox is dramatically more. I think Google Drive is dramatically more. They were saying most stuff is hosted on those two things. Yeah. So even if it's sent on Messenger, it's like a link to a Dropbox folder because Dropbox doesn't scan or censor anything.
Which is ironically.
It's what people want, right? They don't want Dropbox censoring their content.
Well, because
if you're on vacation with your kids and you video your 4-year-old daughter running into the water, maybe she lost her bathing suit and you just see her bare ass running it's cute, right?
Yeah.
It's your kid, it's cute, you're gonna show it at their wedding day, it's gonna be funny, it's humiliating, but bang, gets censored because of child pornography.
Yeah.
So people don't want that.
Not saying it's the same at all, but a lot of sex workers that sell content online use Dropbox for that exact reason because it's great hosting and you can restrict and take away the links that people have and whatnot. Yeah. So as soon as you start censoring,
how do you do that?
Because if it's a bot, how do you teach it what a
minor is?
Yeah, exactly.
Minors don't look like adults, and some adults don't look like adults.
Exactly. So how do you teach an AI what that is, right? So.
So where does one draw the line? But obviously, if you put yourself in this situation, if it was your son, daughter, sibling, cousin, niece, nephew, whatever it is,
you'd want them to ban everything.
You would want something to be done.
Yeah.
So how is technology going to answer this question?
I don't think there's any good solution right now.
Absolutely, there is not. I think our debate revealed that one thing. There's no good answer. Ownership of your own.
Because I was saying that it's a slippery slope.
Very.
With censoring and stuff, because I think me and you and probably 100% of people listening to this can agree that child pornography or child exploitation or whatever should be illegal, and the people doing it should be fucked.
Yeah, and at the least get banned off of Dropbox. Get banned off of Google Drive. So you can't.
We can agree with that. But the problem with making if you do this, you are arrested. Rules is that you get a new president that's the opposite side, and all of a sudden they're adding something to that list.
So what if you're doing a crime that hurts no one? You're buying some MDMA off the dark web. What if you're
well, not even that, but
something or another that's it's consenting adults transacting business that's not legal, but it's not hurting anybody, and now that gets cracked down on. Now you don't have any safe space.
And who's to stop Trump from making it, if you upload a picture of you burning an American flag, you go to jail. Right?
Or saying something bad.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope as soon as you start saying, we're censoring this.
So how do we deal with this?
I don't have the answer.
Can Okay, how did past humanity deal with this?
We didn't have it.
Well, it's always been there in different forms.
Well, how are we dealing with like sex slavery now?
Not well.
Not well. Shout out Ashton Kutcher. Honestly, he has some organization that he runs that's saved like thousands of girls from sex slavery.
Yeah, like you can literally do this just by funding certain police organizations, because some of them, they just don't have enough money to even. This is what they were talking about today. How there was a bill passed a couple of years ago that was supposed to increase the funding towards these initiatives within police, like tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And then they're talking to the police, and they're like, none of this money came through. So we have the same amount of funding. We have to literally choose. Toddlers or older don't get addressed at all.
Yeah.
And then toddlers down to infants, we can handle those, but only some of them.
Well, that's fucked
So
up.
they even if they know about it, have evidence, can convict, can arrest, they don't even have the resources to hit anything.
And then I've heard some rumors, stories, can't confirm or deny, or I can't confirm the legitimacy, but I've heard some stories of undercover FBI agents like selling children into sex slavery, like taking kids out of CFS or out of what's the American CFS, whatever, like orphan kids and stuff, and kids that get taken away from their parents. They go into these systems, they take kids, and then they sell them to sex traffickers, and they like track them. But like these kids get assaulted and killed all the time, but it's a for the common good kind of, or not for the ends justify the means kind of thing for them. Is the cops say, well, if some kids have to die for us to catch the people doing it, then it's fine, which is fucked up.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
But I've heard like different accounts of that before. So
we need WikiLeaks, but for this specifically, that like answers to no laws is like backed by altruism, has the resources and no accountability.
Well, because the problem with like I think Julian Assange was motivated by altruism, and I think the government is inherently not motivated by altruism, right?
No, it's self-interest.
So yeah, it's self-interested. I think there probably are good people in the government, but I don't think giving them more money is necessarily the way. Like having a broken system that gets more money,
right,
doesn't help anybody, right? Like.
So what does that make you want to do about it?
I guess do something like Ashton Kutcher's doing, like start your own system and use your own money for that way, right?
Invent a system.
Yeah. Well, because I'm,
like, it can be as simple as like the brilliance of I think it was Canadians that invented this nail polish that you could like you touch your drink and then your nail polish will change color if there's a roofie in it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that level of fighting it is brilliant.
When I hate to say it, but all it's going to take likely is like, I don't want to say anyone's name specifically, but a billionaire, it's going to take his daughter getting like assaulted and kidnapped or something, and then he's going to be like, fuck this is what I'm fixing now, so it never happens again. And I hope it doesn't happen. Like, God forbid it ever happens to anybody, right? But that might be what it takes. Is some very wealthy, very connected person to have something tragic happen to them, because we see a ton of people that run charities based on the trauma that's happened to them specifically, and they never want anyone else to feel the same trauma.
Yeah, and I learned in construction, every safety regulation, every rule that you must obey or get fired or penalized for, every one of those rules was written in someone's blood. Yeah. So don't mock it. Yeah. And that goes for the same for anything that gets done. Yeah, yeah. Which is like I want to get really passionate about it. Maybe in the tech space, maybe in philanthropy, but I think it's something I really want to chase down in my life because it requires some innovation, some creative thinking, and I think you can move the needle.
The problem is with that though is that as soon as you innovate on the light side, the dark side innovates as well, right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, you invent a nail polish for a roofie, they create another drug that works around that chemical reaction.
Or there's like there's a cartel down here that made their own cell company so that they can't be tracked. They put up their own towers and have their own cell phones that they manufacture.
Fair.
Like, because can't put a back door in the cell phone if you're the one inventing them, so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But innovation is bred by pain, by being in a bad situation. Like back against the wall, you're typically going to innovate your way out. So something else we kind of talked about. I forget where we were. We were just drunk, but we were talking about how people, as bad as the news is and as bad as whatever is people we think are inherently good, or at least I think that. You can argue with me, but I think that there's not only is there much more good people than bad, but I think there's an overwhelming amount of good people compared to bad. Like there's almost no bad people in the world, and I don't think bad stuff happens nearly as often as you'd like to think, right?
Yeah, even Googling the murder rate in Playa del Carmen, I got like this. Me and you got like the same 3 to 5 news articles.
Yeah.
It was like 7 people found dead in cartel shooting.
Yeah.
That was what made the news.
Yeah.
So that doesn't account for, like, it's a large city, 130, 140.
Well, there's like 500 people dead in 150,000 people. Like,
yeah,
was about it.
Like,
so
if you talk straight stats wise, that's not that scary. If you're like, 1 in 150,000 people die of this disease, you're not that scared of it.
Yeah, but I think that like from all our experience, even though we're on a resort right now, I think most of everyone we've talked to has been good and looking out for people and.
Yes.
Like,
so here's a very interesting thing that I heard from. It was again Tim Ferriss podcast at Penn and Teller, the Vegas show.
Yeah,
Penn.
I like him.
What's Penn?
Penn Jillette.
Yes, Penn Jillette. Thank you. So he talks about how if you choose the person to do something for you, like almost guaranteed that person will honor the deal. So if you're like to a stranger in a coffee shop, hey, can you watch my $2,000 laptop?
Yeah. Make
sure nobody steals it. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. The odds of that person defending your laptop against a thief is very, very, very high because you solicited their help.
Yeah.
If someone solicits their help and you're like, you need to go to the bathroom, whatever, someone picks up a signal and says, hey, I'll watch your laptop. It's fine if you want to go. The odds of that person stealing from you is very high.
That's interesting.
So if you solicit the help from a random stranger,
yeah,
that is almost always safe. And this is coming from a guy who lived purposefully homeless for 6 years and interacted with a lot of strangers, trusted a lot of strangers, got help from a lot of strangers. And he's like, if you solicit the help, you're almost guaranteed to be okay. Like the odds of you stumbling upon that 1% or 1% of 1% of people that would fuck you over after asking for that favor, like most people, if someone's like, hey, can you watch my stuff? You'll take it seriously.
Oh yeah.
You'll look at their stuff like more closely than you're looking at your own shit.
Yeah.
And you'll watch it like a hawk, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how most people think. And the number of people that would take advantage of that situation is, I think, very, very slim. Because even if you were a kind of bad person and someone's like, I trust you, take care of me, you're like, okay, maybe I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
I'm trustworthy. I look kind of trustworthy.
Because even bad people usually have people they're good to.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. They're not bad all the time.
No.
And if someone wants to make them out to be a good person, they'll want to agree with that situation.
And it's like it's the whole. There's a picture of like a bunch of lions drinking water right beside a bunch of like zebras, and they're like right beside each other. And I was like, yeah, well, they're not hungry. Like, they don't need to.
Or they want to spoil the drinking place.
Yeah, well, they don't need to kill it, right? So it's like, I think a lot of crime is done out of necessity, right? And it's like, well, I don't need to do it. I don't need to steal this laptop right now, right? Like, so.
I'd rather be a good person.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said about the good of humanity. I think that there's enough random things. There's so much random kindness. I think there's random people help people out all the time. I think there's, which is why I think we're going into a town in a couple hours that has a 100 times murder rate than a dangerous city that we live in, and we're not too worried about anything going on.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, quote, my homeland.
Yeah.
Crack it. Sigh. Have you ever begrudgingly cracked a beer before?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Cheers. Salute.
Yeah. I think the average person just doesn't want trouble. I think the average person likes people. I think the average person wants to be liked.
Including police and the random people I run into today. As long as you don't look like a fucking target.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. I'm not going to wear my watch or anything. We're not going to look like a lick, and we're not going to fuck around with anyone. We're not going to get in anyone's face. We're not going to fuck with people. We're not going to be drunk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be safe, people.
Yeah. We also don't know how we're getting into town.
But trust in the ability that we can improvise because we're not the first person to ask for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're pretty smart, number one. We're pretty street smart as well.
So, anybody nightmare travel stories? Like kidneys stolen, that level of stuff?
Don't tell us.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
Well, I've heard stories. I was heard on a podcast, like some guy was in like South Africa, and he got into a taxi that was like labeled taxi. The guy had a license and everything. They took him out into the desert or whatever outside of town, and like put a gun to his head, and like robbed him and stuff, and like.
I mean, that could happen in Winnipeg.
Yeah, which is why I'm not worried. Like.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening to people in Winnipeg.
Our taxis are not
taking
exactly.
to quote the perimeter, which is the same as desert.
Yeah.
Against your will, like.
Into the Arctic.
True.
Yeah.
Tundra.
But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, it's fun.
So on vacation.
Yeah, we are.
Still podcasting.
Yep.
Still working.
Yep.
Thinking about work.
Yep. Is this a vacation?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I told you, I'm fucking ecstatic to just do the same shit I was doing at home, but just in my hotel room. Like.
Yeah, we walk through this corridor here, and we just see like people's TVs on all night.
Yeah.
We turned on a TV for the first time last night.
Yeah.
Just because we're too tired. We were gonna podcast yesterday, but we were just too tired. Too much food. Just couldn't move.
The food, yeah, like most of the restaurants are buffet style, but you can make reservations at like actual restaurants. So I went to the Spanish restaurant and ate a ton of food and
steak and lobster and shrimp and mussels and.
Yeah, and it was just it was a lot. And then we just came back here and we're like, okay, we need a 30-minute break to sit off our food, and then we just never got up again.
Okay, how do you feel about indulgence?
What do you like, food wise or
anything?
Because
there's stoicism is all about. Like, indulge in nothing.
Yeah.
Like, basically enjoy nothing.
Like, Mennonites are very stoic.
Right.
Like,
Mennonites are very stoic.
Your family.
Yeah, and a lot of, like, extreme right-wing and other people we know are like, if there's anything that you're indulging in, it's probably the wrong thing.
We do run a podcast centered around drinking alcohol, Tyler.
True. But do we do it every night?
Yes. No. Okay, we don't record every night, but we drink every night. No, I like alcohol, I like drugs, I like, random sex. I like driving fast. I like, I do a ton of stuff that's dangerous and indulgent.
For no reason in particular.
For no reason other than the serotonin I get, serotonin.
I mean, we could get that from like World of Warcraft.
Sure. Or bear with me. I get drunk and have sex while playing World of Warcraft. Yeah, I don't know. I think it goes back to the same argument as balance, right? I think if all you do is indulge, like I always talk about how you gotta, if you're celebrating, if you're indulging, you have to be fucking celebrating something.
Yes.
Like if you are indulging,
100%.
you have to be celebrating something in my mind, or else it's useless. If you're just drinking or having sex or doing drugs because your life sucks, that's not helping anything. But the reason we're doing it right now is because we deserve it, because we've worked hard and we've accomplished a lot.
Yes, and not to glaze over it, I'm sorry to bring it up, but in honor of your brother.
Yes.
So that's a big reason. That's why I decided to come.
Yeah, my brother passed away a year ago.
And not get to do this.
Yeah, he passed away a year ago this week, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this as well, is because he doesn't get to. And that's why I kind of want to do something every year around this time is for that. And I think a lot of good has been done in the names of people that have passed away, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of, like, I feel like this is, I don't want to say when I get over it, but like when I'm in a little bit more of a better mental health state, I think this was going to help me work harder and accomplish more in the future.
Yeah, because you feel like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some roundabout way, but that's all that matters.
Well, all that matters is how I feel, right? As long as I feel good about it, then it's fine. Well, okay, that's all I meant.
But it's true.
How one feels.
How one feels, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing but your own experience.
Yeah. And if this is making me happy, then fuck it.
And it's not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
Second caveat.
Yes.
If it makes you happy and hurts someone, go fuck yourself.
Yes. And you're just a serial killer.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Serial killers?
Yeah.
Less than you'd think. Stop listening to true crime podcasts.
Okay, there's less than you think. That's all I listen to. So this is going to be a true crime podcast
starting as soon as we get murdered and one of us gets murdered in Playa.
The other will just podcast.
The other will make a true crime podcast.
It could happen.
Murder beyond this point.
And you just put yourself into like really risky situations where you're most likely to get murdered.
Earlier you offered me a water and then you're like, I just looked at you and you're like, oh yeah, it's not water beyond this point.
Truly offensive beverage.
Sure. Ow.
Sorry if that was loud. At this juncture, it's probably time to end.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we're probably going to call it there. That's just about an hour. We usually do it a little bit longer, but I think we're actually... We're on vacation. Fuck you.
Don't put expectations on my performance.
What's au revoir? Wait.
Adios.
Adios.
Amigos.
Muchas gracias for listening, amigas, amigos and amigas. Muchas gracias et listening.
It's great Spanish.
Willows, Instagram. Vote Willows, VOTEWIOWS. Alcohol beyond this point on Instagram. Tyler Bergen.
Instagram at Tyler Bergen DBP. Not that I post that much, but watch the stories. They're sometimes interesting.
You can see us on vacation. Probably not by the time this gets edited, but
probably not.
Maybe next vacation. Yeah, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Share what we're doing. That'd be cool. And stay tuned to the Instagram and the YouTube. I think we're gonna post a bunch of little just short clippets of the trip.
Yeah, and let us know what, like, disconnected from your career, business, whatever. What are you passionate about? What do you want to get done? What do you want to see change in the world? And why is that important to you?
And where are you going on vacation next?
Yeah, that too. Invite us. Buy us tickets.
Lego.
Rooms.
Lego.
Get drunk and talk to you the whole time.
Lego.
For free.
Lego for free. You won't even have to pay me to get drunk and talk to you. Yeah, we filmed on location outside Playa del Carmen, Quantigaru, Mexico.
For context, let's get a quick pan of the space. Willows.
I'm a little bit burnt. You just see my back.
Lots of palm trees. Yes. Thank you for listening.